Okay, so the second section of 8.4, we're still bisecting today. But instead of bisecting segments, we're going to bisect, guess what? Angles. Good. So what does bisect mean? We just reviewed this in your homework time. Check. Cut something in the middle, he says, which would leave you with two equal halves. Okay, so today our equal halves will not be segment pieces. They will be two equal angles. Good. So congruent angles. There's that word, congruent. We talked about it yesterday. Congruent means, Sabrina?
Equal.
Equal in what way? If I have congruent triangles, how are they equal?
They both have like same size.
Size, and they'll have the same shape, size and shape. Okay, so congruent angles would have what? What would be the same about congruent angles? Right. In what way? The degrees of the angle, or the measure of the angle, the measure in degrees would be the same. Now, because we're talking angles, here we have two angles, A and B. Notice that they start at a initial point, and then we call that the vertex, and then we have rays going off. So they go, that arrow represents infinite, goes infinitely off in one direction. Okay, so we could say two things about these angles here. We could say, what does this symbol mean, this little thing? Good, it means the angle A is to angle B. Just as we said it with segments yesterday, we said they were this. What are these, Bailey? Angle A and angle B are, what is it we just defined here? Congruent. Good. And do you remember what that symbol looks like? A squiggle on top. There it is. So an equal sign with a wave on top. They're congruent. So now this notation is a little interesting. We have a little m in front of angle A. What does that m, what is that short for? It's short for a word. Bella?
Measure.
Good. The measure of angle A, which would be a number, right? The measure of angle A, how is it related to the measure of angle B? It would be the same, which is not the same as congruent. It is equal. So we use the equal sign here. Okay? So if two angles are congruent, they have the same shape, then guess what? Their measures are equal. The measure of their degrees is equal. That's what these mean. Okay? So an angle bisector, Anthony, what does it do?
So it goes through the middle of the line.
It goes to the middle of an angle, and it cuts the angle in two equal halves. Good. A ray that divides an angle into two equal angles. Okay, so we're going to jump right into a question regarding angles. And so now we're reading math. And when you read math, you have to take into account the little symbols that are there. So it's always a real shorthand, which is what I love about math, right? The least amount of writing possible. So this symbol says what? What does that little arrow say? It says, it does not say line. If it was line, you would have arrows on both ends. It says ray, good job, ray, RP, bisects, what is this? Angle, SRT. And then it says the measure of angle PRT plus 1. And the measure of angle SRP is x plus 20. So find x. So there's a lot of information given. This says measure of SRP, and this should say x plus 20. Okay, I'll make it look a little better. Okay, so Does anybody know what x is? Who knows what x is? Oh, so no one is raising their hand if you're at home. And so what might a person do? Because you'll have a question like this on your own for an assignment. So what would you do? Nika?
Write it out.
What does that mean? It is written out.
Like 2x plus 1 equals x plus 1.
Maybe, Brandon? Draw it. That is it. We've been saying this now for a couple days. Draw a picture. Now, just in case you're thinking the wrong thing, Nico's right. You want to try to come up with some equation to solve for x, but let's draw it. Now, it doesn't have to be the most artistic thing in the world, although some of you are very artistic, right? But we have some ray that's bisecting an angle SRT. I don't know how big SRT is, but I'm just going to draw an angle. I do know it is an angle, right? So let's just draw some basic angle. And so when we see an angle noted like that, where do these points go, S, R, and T? Where should I put them on this angle? Brandon?
One where the two lines meet.
Okay, so which one? There's a specific one that must go here. Do you know which one? When you're naming an angle. Which letter would go here? From SRT. This is called angle SRT. You're right, it's R. Okay, so S and T are out there somewhere, but they're naming the vertex in the center letter of this name, SRT. So we could start at S and travel to R and over to T. Okay, and then we have this information. Do you see? RP. Now, when you have that written, the ray must start at which letter, R or P? R. Right, R. So you name it by its vertex first. So we start at R, and we're going to try to cut this thing in half. So out here somewhere is P. Because that's what this said. We have a ray RP. And we know it's bisecting, so I try to make it look like it's cutting in half. Okay? So now we come over here and look at this information. Color. This information says there's an angle PRT. So let's go find PRT. Where is P? Here it is. P to R to T is this angle, right? The lower one on mine. It could be the higher one if you reverse some letters, but on mine it's this lower one. And so this equals 2x plus 1, that angle. And then we have this information about SRP. So we go look at our picture, and here is S. I'm going to put two little arches, and I'm using a different color. That's SR to P. So that's the other one. And that equals x plus 20. Good. So now that we have that information, we know kind of what this really looks like. Even though I might have not drawn it perfectly to scale, but at least I know where these rays are and angles are, right? So that's what you'll have to do when you have all words and no picture. Okay? So now Nico was saying at this point, if RP is bisecting, what can we say about these two angles?
They're equal.
They are, say it, Lindsay?
Equal.
Equal in measure, right? So if they're equal, you can do what Nico said and set their measures equal. X plus 20 must equal 2x plus 1. Because the measure of angle PRT must equal the measure of angle SRP. Since they were bisected, right? Okay, so go ahead and see if you can solve for x. PRT is actually the 2x plus 1, so let me reverse it. It doesn't end up mattering in our equation. But PRT is down here, so we'll do it this way, x plus 20. Okay, so these two angles are equal. Now it's lined up better. There's one invisible coefficient that we might want to add. Do you see that? How many x's are here?
1.
Good, so you might want to put it there. That sometimes helps people. And so let's collect the variables to the same side. And which side has greater number of x's? Say it, the left side, right? So Tatum, how do we get this x moved over, the right x? Good, subtract 1x, subtract 1x, and we end up with, can you tell us what's left? X, and then we still have plus 1 equals 20. And Casey, to finish
We
it,
subtract 1.
subtract 1 from both sides,
We get 19.
x equals
19.
just 19. X equals 19. Good. And if this was true, that these angles were equal, how could we check this to make sure that we have the right answer? Bella.
You're going to plug in 19 on the x's.
Okay, so what is 19 plus 20?
39.
Good. And then over here we would have 2 times 19
38.
plus 1 equals 39 degrees. They're both 39 degrees. So we can check it. Good job. Okay, so that was not a long lesson, and you have not a long assignment either. If you finish, work on your problem of the month, okay?